Hi, I'm Vickie Hall with RE/MAX Masters Millennium, and I'm a realtor that specializes in senior real estate needs. And I'm here recording in the Mount Albert studio at RE/MAX Masters Millennium in Greenwood Village. And as a real estate agent that specializes in seniors, I rub shoulders with a lot of other experts that specialize in senior needs. And one of those is Kristina Brendlinger from Googie Down.
That's right. Googie Down Estate Liquidators and Appraisal Services. My husband and I, Mark, own our business, and we provide, liquidation and appraisal services to many people, but mostly elders that are downsizing and moving. Yeah.
And Kristina's going to talk to us about what's hot and what's not, and when an appraisal is necessary.
Yeah, definitely. This probably is the number one concern or comment or question that we get when we're meeting with clients and talking about downsizing and liquidation is, what's my stuff worth?
Yeah.
Right? That's
right.
Somewhat kind of challenging to figure out right now because we have such a volatile market and secular market of what's going on in the collectibles market. So, but I like to call it what's hot or what's not, because that kind of sinks in, right? So when we're discussing trends in the liquidation market, which really in a sense is, resell, right? You're going to a consignment store, you're going to the charity stores, you're going to a liquidation sale, estate sale. That's kind of where we get what's hot and what's not in the liquidation market. So we base those assessments as liquidators and appraisers based off market demand, right? Very similar.
Market demand now.
Today's market demand. That's right. So what is popular? What are people buying today in 2021?
Not 10 years ago.
No, not 10 years ago,
Not
15 years ago.
hummels from 50 years ago.
That is right. So it's a little bit of an education conversation with our clients to say, when we do a value assessment on an estate, we're assessing the value based off what is sellable and in demand in today's market, right? 2021. Now, sometimes we'll go back and we'll look at a year behind us, especially with the pandemic. Things were so crazy. We do look at that, but we have to look at a current market because what did I say? We have volatility even in the collectibles market, and things can be secular over seasons, and they can have volatility based off whatever it might be. Markets flooded with hummels. HGTV now has a new decorating show, and so they're putting in lace quilts and lace drapes, and now the trend is that, right? And that's driving the trend of what people want to buy and what is really sellable. So we like to say what's hot and what's not. In general terms, we look at the Denver market, right? Because that's where my client, is located, in the Denver metro market. And then we educate, here's what's really, really hot in the Denver market. And right now, we're still trending over the past several years. Really, really hot is what we call mid-century modern decor, furniture, and collectibles. So anything that comes out of the 1950s up through the 1970s, which we would consider mid-century, and it has to be modern. So we talk about the Jetsons kind of style or the Brady Bunch style, right? Walnut, teak furniture, Danish furniture, little tiny pencil legs on furniture, chrome, big ball lights, anything that would be deemed not an antique, something that feels very modern and retro. Probably a lot of the furnishings and household goods that some of our clients received or bought when they got married, right? In the 1950s and the 1960s. That is really on trend here in the Denver market. We're starting to see a little bit of a shift. We've seen that over the past 6 months to a year of this bohemian style. Remember the bohemian style in the 1970s? Lots of colorful rugs, Killam's rugs from Afghanistan, the macrame. That's huge.
Yes.
You can walk into Target right now and they are selling macrame. Yes. Listen, that is the bohemian style. Bright, bold colors, purples and yellows and oranges. So we're definitely seeing that being on trend. And again, open any magazine, look at any decorating show. what do you see? You see a lot of the mid-century modern decorating. You see a lot of that bohemian style decorating. And that really drives the behaviors of collectors, because two things. You have a collector who is making their livelihood off of reselling those goods, right? And so market demand and trends are saying this is what sells really good. Those are the buyers that are going to be seeking out those goods in your home at some type of liquidation sale.
You mean they don't want to buy something that they can't sell?
No, they don't. And a lot of our homes, the good majority of people that we meet with probably have less in-demand goods and more of what's not hot, what's not, because they're older. Mm-hmm. They were purchasing, maybe, Ethan Allen, early American furniture. They inherited antiques from their parents or their grandparents. And those were very on trend in the 1970s, 1980s. And they were very sought after and worth a lot of money. But behaviors have changed. Buyers' age group has dropped. We see the people who are buying collectibles, wanting to put those things in their home are the 20 and 30-year-olds. And as we chatted, we're in a disposable world right now, so they're not seeking out those heirloom type of items per se to fill into their home. Then we, the not hot items, are things that are like, I have a painting that I inherited. We talked about the British watercolors. There's not a lot of demand for things that we call pre-modern era. So we start looking at the collectability of the Art Deco and Art Nouveau, movement, which starts about 1912, 1915. Then we get in the Art Deco period, which is the 1920s. Then you move into the mid-century modern movement, which is 1950s to 1970s. And believe it or not, we are starting to see collectors and buyers want early 1980s items. 20-something age group are fascinated with the 1980s. And we're starting to see clothing, some types of furniture, art from the 1980s, lighting from the 1980s.
How about music from the 1980s?
Yeah, music is a big rage right now. Vinyl records is definitely hot.
Really?
We have to be clear, it's probably not the 1940s and 50s music that my parents had, but it's 70s rock, anything 70s rock, vinyl. That's we have a lot of jazz collectors, musical instruments from the 70s, 80s, very, very, very hot. Precious metals. So precious metals always have value, right? Gold, sterling, jewelry of that nature, sterling silver, flatware, that will always maintain a value. However, that's also driven by spot value, market value, right? And that's definitely secular. So right now, gold and sterling's at a high benchmark right now. So those are pretty collectible. But then you have all the
jewelry.
Absolutely. So a client, and even costume jewelry. So, if your parents or grandparents had lots of 50s costume jewelry, a lot of that was backed in sterling and gold. So, those are the types of items that you definitely want to consider getting appraised. Mm-hmm. And that kind of leads us into the what's hot, what's not, is how do I know? So if you really don't know and you want more than just a generic assessment from an estate liquidator, then you can call in an appraiser. Now, an appraisal is really for certain things. Insurance replacement value. I need to assess a value. So if something happened and I need to pull an additional insurance coverage, or I have to have a claim, that is when you would need an insurance, and that's called a replacement value on an item. Or the other side of things for an appraisal would be mandated probate. We're in probate.
Okay.
Mandated by an attorney or a judge. Estate planning. And so you would call, an appraiser would come in and do an appraisal.
Divorce?
A divorce, yeah. So that's basically for, settling assets, distributing assets to heirs or whoever it might be. So we have the what's hot and the what's not in the collectible market, right? I can go search eBay. I can look at Facebook Marketplace. I can kind of see the trends. But then it gets down to, well, I really need a very accurate appraisal. I need to know the value for insurance replacement, something happens to it, fire, theft, or I need to know fair market value, which is basically could be for federal and state taxes, or it could be for distributing assets to heirs or through a divorce or something like that. And that's really the only two times somebody needs an appraisal. Appraisals are expensive. You don't need to get one unless you need it. If you're just looking in general, what is my stuff worth? What should I sell it for on Facebook Marketplace? What it would sell for on eBay? That can be easily done with some very, very preliminary minor research online or calling in an estate liquidator to give you the reality of what things are selling for here in the Denver market. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to do your own little research and you don't want to go out to an online market site and pull something from New York that sold for $2,000, and then
When
you
you're in
think that
Idaho.
when you're in Idaho or you're here in Lakewood, and then you ask $2,000, but that particular item is an antique that doesn't sell here in the Denver market, and you've wasted all that time and energy, and at the end of the day, you're left with those items. So meeting with a liquidator can give you accurate, fact-based information on the value of your items, and then make a recommendation if you need an appraisal. Yeah,
Outstanding.
pretty easy.
Well, I don't know. It seemed pretty complicated to me. And, when things get overwhelming that way, we call in the experts to help guide us. And we
provide
don't
you
have
with-
to do all the research ourselves.
No, and you're getting fact-based, accurate, transparent information and feedback. Yeah, so we have a fiduciary and ethical responsibility to do that. People are well informed, and you would probably want to know if you have a $2,000 item in your home, right, before you downsize and move. So that's what our goal is, to share information so you're well educated. Yep.
And so how do people get hold of you, Kristina?
They can go to our website, googiedown.com. They can find our email, text, our cell information. All of that's there for contacting us, or perhaps through resources like you.
And I'm Vickie Hall with RE/MAX Masters Millennium. We've got a couple more videos here with Kristina with Googie Down that gives you more information that might be valuable. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.